This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
And welcome back to another edition of Issues in Education. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight the issues impacting our schools with Dr. Ralph Kerr at the Teaching and Learning Institute in Houghton, New York. Well, Ralph, there is no bigger issue impacting our schools right now than this one. The school budget vote is tomorrow in New York. It's here already, but sadly, Ralph, and we've talked about this a lot on this program, not a lot of people take part in that election. Traditionally, the turnout rate is around the 10% mark, and that's if it's a good year. Why is it so important that people take the time to vote tomorrow in New York on school budget day?
Well, thanks for raising this issue, because tomorrow is a really big day for schools. Last year, more than one district's budget or school board candidates were decided by one vote. So sometimes people say, well, my vote's not really that important. That's just not the case. And furthermore, even if you're against the budget proposal, the districts really need to know where their community is in terms of the budget that they're proposing. And if they get a lot of negative votes, even if it passes, they know, they've got to be more careful in the future. And then in terms of the board candidates, it's really important that people have identified which candidate they're going to vote for and then go out and support them. And I can't stress how important it is that people get out and cast their votes tomorrow.
Well, chronic absenteeism is up dramatically since the pandemic, and many are blaming, Ralph, the pandemic for this, but there are other factors for it as well. I know with the school year coming to an end, the good weather might have something to do with it. What can moms and dads do to make sure that their kids are not included among the numbers of the chronically absent?
Well, I keep hearing that the pandemic is the reason for a lot of things. The pandemic happened several years ago now. So it's time to say that we need to get to school. And I'm surprised that more parents don't talk to their students about the importance of school and how important it is to get there. Because in the world of work, you just can't miss a whole lot of days and be chronically absent, or you're not employed anymore. So make sure that kids are up and ready to go to school, have an expectation that they will go, and then make sure my preference is get on the bus. But if you're spoiling your kids and driving them to school, then do that. But make sure that they get there and have the expectation that they will participate.
Yeah, and chronically absent means missing more than 10% of the 180 days. Right. I'm wondering, does that go on a student's permanent record, and could colleges or prospective employers see that record?
Absolutely. It is a record that both colleges and employers could get access to. It's just not a good thing to have a lot of absenteeism. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, 10%, if that's 180 days, that's 18 days that you've missed. And just think about what the learning loss is for the new material that's being presented. The other thing is, this is a time of year when, because of the nice weather and that, students look for excuses not to attend. But it's important that they get up and get going, and I encourage the parents to be part of that encouragement.
Yep, we use the word finish strong in our household.
That's right.
Works
Absolutely.
in sports and school.
Right.
Speaking of sports, there's a kicker for the Kansas City Chiefs. His name is Harrison Butker, taking a lot of flack for speaking out about Christian values. Some of it was a little bit controversial. He gave a speech at a Catholic school and has received a lot of flack over it. That got me thinking, Ralph, what can students, because we're getting to that time of year again, what can students who deliver those valedictorian or salutatorian addresses say and not say during their high school graduation? What is protected speech?
Well, just before I get to that, let me comment on the speech that was given by the Kansas City player. One of the things he said was that he was really glad that his wife, who he attributed a lot of his Christian walk to, was interested in being a homemaker for his kids. And then the other thing he said was that fathers need to step up and be in their proper role. Now, it's beyond me how those two things could be controversial, but they were. But there's been a lot of criticism because the Kansas City Chiefs also had 33 of their players who've been involved in either alcohol-related accidents or some kind of abuse to family members. And the NFL said in those situations, they monitor the situation. In the case of the kicker, they said that we don't endorse what he said, and we support inclusion.
Wow.
I just would say that I actually spoke to one of the owners of the NFL team yesterday about that, and he was disappointed that the NFL took that position, and I can tell you I am as well.
Yeah.
Just briefly to go back to your other question about free speech at graduation, normally an administrator will review the speech that the salutatorian or the valedictorian is going to give. So therefore, it really depends on the viewpoint of the administrator and maybe even the Board of Education in terms of how much free speech the students actually have. Again, let me circle all the way back to our first item today and say that's why it's important to vote for good Board of Education candidates because they make a difference right down to the point of what students can say at their graduation ceremony.
Awesome. Really well done, Ralph. Great discussion today. Brought it full circle. And if you have questions about the big vote tomorrow in New York, Ralph, you have a wonderful website where folks can go and learn more. What is that, if you would?
That is simply whyrun.org, whyrun.org.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.